This is Annette at needlepointers.com. Today I would like to show you how to make this patriotic flag placemat using bandanas. It can also be used as a table topper or a wall hanging. In addition to sharing this bandana placemat video tutorial, we've created a full written photo tutorial on how to make this project. Simply click on the link below in the description section to go to the page. Let's get started with this tutorial. To make the patriotic bandana placemat, you will need a red, white, and blue bandana, backing fabric for the placemat, fusible batting or fusible fleece, some fabric for the binding, a rotary cutter, ruler, and mat, scissors, sewing clips, a sewing machine, and thread. To begin making the bandana placemat, you need to cut the bandanas and fabric. To get the cutting measurements, click the link in the description to go to our Flag Bandana Placemat page. To make the placemat, we're going to use the quilt-as-you-go method. So the first thing you need to do is to attach the fusible fleece or batting to the backing fabric. When you're doing this, place the fusible fleece or batting with the bumpy side facing up. Place on top of it your backing fabric and then fuse according to the manufacturer's instructions. Take your first short red strip and place it along the top and along the right side. Now you may want to put a couple pins just to hold it in place. Okay, then what you're going to be doing is you're going to take a white strip and you're going to be placing it on the top of the red one, like that. And we're going to go to the sewing machine and we're going to sew it along that line. Since we will be using the quilt-as-you-go method to make this placemat, I suggest that you will use a walking foot, or if your machine has a dual feed, you can use that. My machine has the dual feed, so I won't be using my walking foot to do this project. Begin by sewing the two strips together using 1/4 inch seam allowance. Remove it from the sewing machine and you can either finger press or iron the seam. Now we're going to add another red strip. Again, line them up and use 1/4 inch seam allowance to sew them together. Okay, once you have those 4 strips sewn together, we're going to now add the blue piece over on the one side. So I'm going to turn it around because my 1/4 inch walking foot is on this side. I'm going to put the blue piece on the top, matching up the 2 raw edges, and then I'm going to sew it again using 1/4 inch seam allowance. Okay, I'll just open it up so you can see what it looks like so far. Okay, we're going to continue now to add more strips. So we'll be adding another white one, red one, white one, and red one. Just continue to do that just as you did before. Once you have it all sewn together, you might have to trim it up a little bit. On mine, I can see some of the backing here and the fusible interfacing. So I am going to trim it up and make it even. And I am going to use the backing fabric as my line for trimming it. And I'm taking off, for mine, I'm taking off about a quarter of an inch, an eighth of an inch, a quarter of an inch. So now it's all trimmed up. Now before we go to add the binding on, what you want to do is you want to go to your sewing machine again and stitch about an eighth of an inch from the edge all the way around to hold these pieces all down. And then we'll be adding on the binding. It's time to sew on the binding tape around the outside of your placemat. What I did was I did the normal thing. I cut my fabric 2.5 inches. I then folded in half, but at the starting end, I also folded under right here, and I'll show you why we're going to use a quick method for attaching the binding. So you're going to leave a little tail and then start sewing. So, and I don't know, I always like to start on the right hand side for some reason. So I'm going to use a quarter of an inch seam to attach it. When I'm attaching it, I'm going to backstitch at the beginning, and then I'm going to start sewing. When I get to the corner, we will do a mitered corner. So I'll start sewing. I'm going to stop when I get a quarter of an inch from the corner. Raise the presser foot, pivot the material, and sew diagonally into that corner. I like to also, when I'm doing it, I like to do a couple of back stitches. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to be taking the material out of the machine. We're going to trim the threads. Then fold the material back on itself at a 45-degree angle. Then fold it down, aligning the top edge, this top, so it's straight across. You can put a pin if you'd like to hold it in place. Then, okay, I didn't pin it in quite the right place, but I'm going to just hold it instead. Put it back in the machine and begin to stitch. I always do some back stitch there, and then continue on to the next corner and do the same thing. Do that all the way around it until you get back to the beginning, and then I'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, I'm almost back to the beginning. I have cut it already. Here is where we started, and it's folded. So what we're going to do is we're going to just slip this inside where it's been folded, like that, and then we're going to continue to sew. Okay, then take your iron and press the binding away from the top of the placemat. Next, turn the project over and fold the binding to the back. Now, when I attach the binding, I use this blue thread along here. So what you want to do is to take the binding and just go over slightly more than where the stitching was and start clipping it in place. Do this all the way around the placemat. When you get to the corner, you want to miter the corner. All you need to do is just fold it here on a 45-degree angle and then turn it to the back, and you have your mitered corner. Now make sure, of course, as I said, you don't want to see this stitching on the back that you did. You just want to cover that just a little bit up as you're going along. Back to the sewing machine, and now you're going to stitch close to where you put the seam for attaching the binding, just inside of there. And as you're stitching, of course, try to keep it nice and straight, and also remove the clips as you're going along. Stitch all the way around. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make a patriotic bandana flag placemat for your holiday table. While purchasing bandanas, pick up a few extra to use as napkins, or make some napkins yourself with our do-it-yourself napkin tutorial. If you like this tutorial, please be sure to pin, bookmark, and share. If you're not a subscriber, please be sure to subscribe along with sharing our videos on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. Visit our website, needlepointers.com, for lots more free sewing projects and tutorials. While you are there, sign up for our weekly newsletter so you don't miss one of our great tutorials.